want to get emotional. But I might. No one comes in and saves you. No one comes in and says, you're exactly what we've been looking for. We needed you. And where have you been? That's a lie. That's a Disney story that doesn't exist. That's not real. But you can put yourself out there and you can save yourself.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Well, that's over with.
Ow.
It's so loud every time.
There's a reason why they say soft sticks.
I don't like how you looked at me when you said soft stick.
Listen, ain't nothing soft.
Cameras are on.
Ain't nothing.
People can see you.
Ain't no soft about that stick.
How you doing, baby?
I'm tired.
You're tired?
I've been tired. I'm good. I'm really good.
Yeah.
I'm tired though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what we didn't do? Tell the people who you are.
What's up, you guys? I'm Mair Mulroney.
And I'm Tyler Tackett.
And this is the Ever Forward Podcast. I looked there, and then I looked there. I don't know if it matters.
It's our show. We need to make the rules.
Yeah, we do whatever we want.
And you know what? We're connecting to our wide audience, and we're connecting to our close-up audience.
Hey, cheers to that.
Cheers, babe.
Glad we got producers on board.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely not a two-man operation. That'd be insane, especially with this production value.
Wow.
So you've had a week.
I've had several weeks.
You've had several weeks. Tell me about it. What have you been up to?
What has been happening? All right, so I've been filming a lot.
Well, here, let me actually let's backtrack a little bit. So, start of the new year, we're going into January, and you, more than most people, you had some work lined up. I had a couple gigs lined up, you had a couple gigs lined up.
Yeah.
But then obviously, the fires happened, right? Everything got pushed. But then, everyone's work got pushed, right?
Yeah.
So then it was like this mad dash to get as much work in as possible because, feast or famine. So you hit the ground running.
Yeah.
And you did, what are you on, gig? It's just since like tail end of January, how many have you done?
Shows?
Yeah. How many have you done?
4? I think 4.
In a month.
Yeah.
That is crazy, dude. Because you're pulling long hours on these too.
Yeah, 12 hours at least. Yeah.
And doing
yeah,
6 days, 5-6 days in a row.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes more.
Yeah, it's
hey,
great.
hanging in there. How you doing? Hey, how you doing, pal?
I might. No, I mean, all right. So one of them recently, which was very fun, was I went in the middle of the woods for a little while.
Yeah,
right?
you did.
So that was for 3 or 4 days.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Are you talking about when you were at the cabin?
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to go to it was like a really nice.
Yeah, it was like a I want to say it's like a ski lodge. I don't know. It's a little bit further south, so I don't know that there's much skiing going on there. I didn't see any snow. Apparently they get snow. Idlewild?
I was under the impression it was over by Palm Springs, wasn't it?
It is. Yeah,
okay,
Palm
okay.
Desert.
Yeah, that's Palm
Past,
Desert.
Yeah. So, but
Ski
it's
lodge.
on a mountain, and I didn't realize that. So I drove there at night. So I had set the next day, and they had a room and stuff set up for me, or cabin set up, and they were like, "Hey, get here, and blah blah blah. And we'll have everything taken care of for you." And I was like, "I'm not getting there a day early." Because I have stuff to do. I'm not.
Yeah, you're not just waiting around.
I'm not just waiting around for a gig.
For a phone call.
Yeah, so I was like, all right, I'll drive there at night. I've been to Palm Desert 1,000 times. I didn't realize that I was going up a mountain, and very windy roads.
Yeah.
So I'm getting there. It's
at night,
10:30 at night. Yeah, I can't see anything. I'm freaking out, man. I'm like driving like 20 miles. It took me so much longer to get there than I thought because once you get to the mountain, it's like 20 miles up.
Fantastic.
Right? I was like...
No street lights or anything either,
no,
right? Like,
no.
It's like one of those, like, there's a lot of mountains out here, so you go to these, like, I've shot at a couple of these. Like, there was one I did a while back for Webtoons that was out in the middle of nowhere, tucked away in some mountain, but you had to do this weird, like, circular motion up the mountain on some road that someone carved out with a bulldozer like 2 days ago.
Oh, it's terrifying because it's so narrow. And they don't really have like any blockers at the edge of the cliff.
No, of course not.
And then you've got the locals who live there. So every once in a while, somebody in some truck will come flying up behind you, like get out the way.
Go away.
And they'll just be riding your ass, and you're trying to go faster, and you're like,
Is that the sound you make?
Yeah, man, I was sweating profusely. I had stress sweats by the time I got there.
You got the meat sweats?
I got, and then I get to the lodge and I realized I was like, oh man, this isn't like a hotel. Like I thought I had like a regular hotel. I could go in. If I wanted to buy a toothbrush, I could get a toothbrush. Like I don't know. I don't know what I was thinking. Apparently it was bougie of me, but I just thought this was like normal stuff. Nobody gave me a heads up. Not anytime someone's like, yeah, we got a place set for you. I'm like, all right, cool. Like, cool. I show up and it's a hotel.
You don't ask a lot of questions.
No.
Maybe you should start, homie. Ask a couple questions. Do they have toothpaste?
Right. So I forgot my toothpaste and my...
Fuck, really? I was just guessing.
No, I brought my toothbrush, but I forgot my toothpaste because I'm thinking a hotel, they always have toothpaste.
Front desk, yeah.
Front desk, or they have it in the room for you, and you just use it.
Yeah.
And charge the company, whatever. So, thank God I got something to eat, like, on the way up. And because I don't know, like, there was, there's no, like, food there. It was in the middle of the...
You couldn't Uber Eat something to the top of a mountain? You couldn't be like, hey, can I get some Chipotle here pronto?
No, and I go to the check-in, and the thing is closed, and there's, like, a sticky note that's like, if you have any issues, call this number. So I called and was like, hey... I'm here.
Help!
I was like, I'm with this production, and they were like, what's the room under? And I was like, I have no idea. I was like, I don't know. The producer's name is so-and-so. It's like, oh, are you with this show that's thing? And I was like, yeah. And they're like, oh, okay. Did they give you a room number? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, okay, cool. So I get there, and there's like a key lock thing that you got to do, and you got to type in a code in order to get into the cabin. And he was like, yeah. And I was like, I could have just lied. I could have just lied and said yes, and I could have gotten into the cabin, but it was fine. It was lovely. It was actually very, very fun.
I was going to say, what makes this even better is knowing which one it was you were working on. So you're doing a string of these vertical films, and they're always kind of in the same vein, but then you get this.
What do you mean? They are always in the same...
I'm trying to be like... I don't know.
They're very overdramatic. They need a good guy, they need a bad guy, and they need romance.
Sure. This one, however, you got to be like...
This one was cool.
You got to play a witch, and there was like werewolves, and there was all this like action and stuff like that.
I don't know how the werewolf part is going to play out. Apparently the CGI that they do is very bad.
They do CGI?
Yeah.
Shut the fuck up.
I haven't seen it. So I don't know, but
I bet they're hiring good people. Like you said, the productions are so like professional and like great 3 cameras at a time.
Well, this one didn't have 3, this had 2.
But even still, like a couple of them are like, I mean, the production value seems to...
It depends. It really depends. Sometimes I think it's a really great shoot, and then I see the end product and I'm like, ugh. All right. But I think a lot of that is mainly that's like them just skipping coloring at the end because they want to
filter.
Yeah, or not even. I actually one time Sarah and I did one together, and I think we talked about it briefly on the last episode. But so the main girl, very sweet girl, but she was having like a really, really, really bad cystic acne breakout.
Oh no!
Yeah, like
That's
it was,
awful.
and you couldn't cover, like there was no fixing it.
Yeah.
So they put a filter on her, But that meant they put a filter on everybody so that everything looked kind of even and the same. So Sarah and I are looking at each other and we're like, well, it worked out well for us. You know? that we look good, you know? But I had one that just came out where they didn't even bother to color correct me in any way, shape, or form. The lighting's not particularly super flattering for me in most parts, but they put a filter on the which is so rude because I'm a lead too. I'm just not the love interest. Okay, so they put the filter on the love interest lead. Yeah. And the love interest guy, love interest lead girl.
And they just throw you to the wolves.
For me,
raw footage, just raw dogging it.
Raw dogging it, and the makeup was horrific because they like to make you look really pale. Okay. Because it's a cultural thing. Okay. And these are not, the company that owns these is not American. And so they like you to look real pale.
Geisha-like.
Geisha-like, but without rosy cheeks. Okay. Or any of the cuteness really at all. So, yeah. I was not pleased with that. And then I got an email being like, oh, our episode came out. Can you post it on your page? And I was like, nope, sure can't.
Abso-fucking-lutely not, my guy.
Can you color correct in post? Oh, no, sorry. But this other company that I just finished working with, the one that did the 3 cameras, and it was very it's the same crew that I worked with before. They're very cinematic, and everything with them looks fantastic. I've seen other stuff that's come out of theirs that I've done and that they've done. Really, 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 really good. And it looks fantastic. So the content is what it is, but it looks really, really good. Yeah. So I'm stoked about that. It was an experience. I don't know how. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how that went. I don't know.
Give me your face. Give me your face.
Do I have something? What was it?
I don't know. Perhaps it was pepper.
Oh,
You know how you put pepper on your face? You know how you do?
All the time.
It's an East Coast thing.
Oh.
So.
Yeah.
So you're doing 4 of these back to back. Yeah. And. Look, man. I feel like, and I'm sure you can relate, we all go into this thing thinking I want to have an entire resume of things I'm proud that I'm proud of. I'm gonna do.
That's a funny thought, right? That's a funny thing to think about, right? Yeah.
However, I really try to have some kind of fucking undying optimism. So I'm okay, well, if I'm not going to be necessarily stoked on the, I hate to abuse the word story, but, this thing I'm working on, if I'm not going to be super stoked about that, well, what can I get out of it? What's the growth here? What's the takeaway? I got to get something out of this, right? Other than just a paycheck. Because oftentimes, can I tell you something? This might be news to you. The paychecks, not always great. Yeah. I feel like if you hear that someone works in entertainment, you have this natural instinct to think either they're incredibly poor.
So poor.
Right. Been there. Or they're incredibly wealthy. Right. You just associate that, right? Yeah. The thing is, life exists in the gray. Mm-hmm. Right? And so they're not all great paychecks. So if the paycheck's not going to be great and the story's not necessarily going to be fulfilling, what do you get out of it? You're well, at least when I think about what you're doing where it's back to back, I'm fuck, dude, I know how exhausting this is for you. But I'm you're getting to keep your acting tool really fucking sharp, I guess.
Oh, so sharp. You know how sharp?
Tell me how sharp.
It's real sharp.
Oh, fuck. Yeah. Can you do that? Can your acting skills do the equivalent of that thing they do with the kitchen knives where they slice the paper?
I would say so. And I'll tell you what.
Weezer, they're gonna do big things. Mark my words.
Oh, I've never heard of them. Really? Yeah. You think they've got a career?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't want to get off topic, but...
Sound like troublemakers. Yeah, no, so this last one that... I'm burnt on the last one. Once again, I love the production company that I worked with. They're great. This script was so bad. It was like... And I'm not talking about like the overall like concept of it. I was just talking like the back and forth dialogue was really repetitive and obnoxious, and it was written more like a play. And we had 7 days to film it.
And these are written like a feature, right? Like,
they're written like feature films.
So
they're the length of a feature film.
Like 100 to 115 pages?
Yeah, so this was 107. Oh, 107.
In 7 days?
107 pages,
So just to give the folks some perspective, we shot Placid Park, the feature that we did last year together, in 15 days. And that was a stretch. And we still had pickups. You guys don't really do pickups. Mm-mm. So 7 days for a feature film, regardless of how they're released in like episodic form, you're shooting it like a feature.
Guess how many takes I get? Which is...
That's not a lot based on the way you said that.
I mean, okay, so for the type of content that these are, they're very like romance heavy. So there's the bad girl. Guess who plays that? Me. So I'm always the villain, which is fun. It's fine. They're the most fun roles in this type of stuff. And it's kind of all that's filming in Los Angeles right now.
Also, I will say, a good story is anchored by the villain.
Oh, 100%. Because I'll tell you what. I don't watch them. I wouldn't watch them. But if I did, I would watch them for the villain characters, for sure.
They're the most fun. Villains don't have rules. I mean, look, I love Captain America as much as the next guy. That's America's ass. I'm on board. Chris Evans all day. Love it. However, Boy Scout, right? Like, he has parameters that he has to work within. The character has parameters he has to work within in order to stay that hero archetype, right?
Right.
A villain, the best villains we can come up with, whether it's, Gary Oldman in Leon the Professional, or Heath Ledger in The Joker, or whoever the fuck, right? Biff in Back to the Future.
They have to be, they're
What's
fun.
A hero without a villain?
You don't have
Nothing.
a hero without a villain, right? And
so, in my opinion, and maybe this is just me being like, I don't know, but to me, if the whole story is going to be anchored on the villain, you probably need the most experienced. And so, like, I know...
Yeah, tell that to the person who cuts the checks.
Sure. Do you have their number?
I do, actually. I absolutely do.
Do you really?
Yeah, I do.
Can I do something? Can I do something? I'm not proud of this, but since it's just the two of us and nobody's watching for sure, I am so embarrassed. I went to Texas and... I bought a vape. I've always been of the mindset that if you're gonna fucking intake your nicotine, smoke cigarettes like an adult.
Yeah,
like
a grown up.
There's nothing that irritates me more. Can I tell you? There's nothing that irritates me more in like a movie or a show or something like that when you see your hero, Mayor of Easttown, the Kate Winslet, show. Yeah, so good. She's so badass in that show. But instead of smoking cigarettes, she hits a vape. And I'm like, you look like such a dork. Who would do that? Can I tell you who would? Me. Because it's like smoking candy, and I don't fucking encourage any of it. I'm so embarrassed. Please don't tell anybody that I did that. It's not a habit I'm going to keep. Any hoosers.
It's also, it's so easy for you to get, like, sucked into that. Because it feels like you can just... hit it all day, every day.
Dude, when I'm writing, all day. I don't even think about it. It's
really
like a fidget
not
spinner.
Good for you. It's got, like, at least with nicotine, it starts to burn you at a certain point.
Well, that used to.
I mean, not nicotine, but like a cigarette.
You're
like, oh, I feel like this isn't good for my lungs.
Yeah.
That you won't notice, and then you're just like, I can't breathe one day.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Just keep it in check.
But did I mention that it's raspberry peach?
I can smell it.
Does it smell like raspberry peach?
It smells like bubblegum candy, cotton, something.
I know. But that's okay, because I do stunts and life is all about balance. Yin and yang, the feminine and the masculine. Well, I love Raspberry Peach, but also you can tackle me through a wall.
Yeah, you can.
For money. I'm kind of like a whore.
Oh, didn't you? Yeah, did we talk about that in your last one? Had you filmed that yet? No, because you didn't have the haircut yet.
Oh, that's right.
We're like a couple weeks behind in our podcast, guys. Yeah. We apologize. Yeah. I got booked on, like, to the point where, like, you work 12 hours a day, you leave an hour and a half early in the morning, then it's another hour and a half at night on top of your 12, and you're just exhausted. And a lot of acting, people think, sitting around, usually it is. Not with what I've been working on at all. I have not.
And you're like in heels and it's a pretty high energy platform. Like you can't really, I've noticed like in the clips I've seen, like it's not really like a, let's milk the moment and like a tender long, it's all pretty quick, high energy. Cause it has to be, it's short form content.
It's short form. So
you're going all day. I know I feel like, I know that eventually the plan is to release one like every week ideally, but you know, you're working. I mean, that's kind of the point of this is to showcase like kind of what it's like. Like sometimes we have some dry spells where there's not a whole lot of work. You're going paycheck to paycheck. You know, you're sending emails to people and trying to get your name out there. You're re-editing all the stuff. You're doing a lot of stuff from home. And so you're able to do things like this, right? But then, you know, then you get booked. I mean, if you're lucky, you get booked on like, you know, a string of things. You know, it's a weird. I think we're used to it, but I do recognize that for other people it might be weird because our life is very topsy-turvy at times.
It's very, it's kind of...
You gotta be willing to be kind of fluid, you know?
Yeah, it's one of those like, hey, you gonna come to this family? I don't know.
I'd love to. Like, I genuinely would love to. Also, everything is expensive. Eggs are $1,000 for a half dozen. And
I can't with the eggs.
Yeah.
How much does it cost to throw you through a wall?
How much does it cost?
I mean, you don't have to say. I know how much it costs to throw you through a wall.
It ain't cheap.
No, it's not.
It ain't cheap. This shit ain't an accident.
But you did get thrown through a wall recently.
Yeah, I can't.
Are you not allowed to say the show?
Not yet. But what I can still tell you what happened. I feel like I can still talk about what happened. I can't say the show. But very cool show. A show that I've known about for a long time. Really cool.
Yeah, it's a network.
Yeah, big show.
Big network. I think everyone knows what it is, but
maybe. But either way, I have found in stunts for me, everybody's kind of path in this is different, but for me, for stunts, where I found the most success is like doubling other actors because I think I look like generic white guy enough that I can.
You don't look. You know what you are though.
What? What am I?
You're actor size. You know what I mean? Like you're the perfect.
Huh.
You're the perfect actor size. Do you know what I mean? Like slightly larger than Tom Cruise, but you're not like you know what I mean? Like you are the size.
No, what do you mean?
You're the size of an actor. You big.
You know what it is? Actually, you know what it is? It's all about the head. You gotta have a big head. I got a big fucking melon.
You do have a big head. I mean, man. And it's beautiful. It's I love.
I grew it myself.
Head. I know you did.
Yeah. That's the key though. Is you want a big fucking noggin.
Really?
Yeah. The thing is, you would think big noggin, big brain. Not necessarily the case. Big heart, but for me, mine is like I have a really thick skull, so that's why I'm good at stunts, but real bad at algebra. Which actually isn't true.
That's not true. No, that's not true. You took the Duke test in like 12th grade.
Bro, are we going to go down this road?
12. Wait, no. We will go down this road. We're going to get into that GT madness that's been going on.
Fucking gate program conspiracy. Yeah. Experimented on. Don't even open that fucking door, my guy.
I want to.
Is that where we're going?
Yeah, I think so. But not yet. We can, but you do a lot of doubling. But you're an actor. You're the size of most actors.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm working on this show and I'm doubling this actor. And, it's this really cool scene where we're in a office building, right? We're in an office building, and the police are raiding this building, and my actor is going to attack one of the officers, and him and the officer get in a fight, right? What's cool about it, though, is this one particular fight goes through like 3 rooms. So it's like, you got your cop like clearing the room, and he comes in and, you disarm. We get in this fight and this tussle, and we like go from one room into a hallway. And then it's like slam, slam, slam. We go into this other room, and we're fighting on a desk, and we're punching. And at a certain point, your boy, me, lets my guard down, and the hero tackles me through a wall. At least that's what was supposed to happen. Would you like to know what really happened?
Yeah.
So, stunts, historically, I think we all agree that the stunt team, if you've been on set, are always like the cool guys on set. Everybody knows stunts are cool because stunts.
Yeah, I'm
right?
friends with all the stunt people that I work with, which isn't many, but the stunt coordinators.
You actually do a fair bit of stunts.
I do a lot of stunts, yeah. For what I do.
Absolutely. No, you do a lot, and you're about to do a lot more. But I forgot where I was going.
Like the stunt guys are the cool guys on set.
Right. So the stunt guys are the cool guys on set, but there also is this thing where, like, I don't know if it's because they're like tough and it's like a thing like we know you guys are going to be on point, but I feel like stunts are always rushed. Like the big stunts are always pushed to the end of the day. So you're racing against the clock. You've only had a few times to do it. Pressure's already high. Plus, you're trying to keep everybody safe, right? So for this particular movement, they wanted us to, obviously I get tackled through a wall, hands go up, I get speared through a wall, and what they did was they got the wall, they took out the wooden platform, or the wooden beam in the center, so it was just drywall, right? So it's like 2 layers of drywall. Here's the kicker, though. They had paid this office building.
So they created the fake wall in this office building.
Correct, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, just with drywall.
But there's real walls.
This is a real office building where people work at. But this studio just rented it, right? I assume they're film friendly. Maybe not after this. So the movement was I was supposed to get tackled through the wall, but here was the kicker. Was like when I go through the wall, it brings us back into that hallway. The hallway is like this big. It's like a small hallway between offices. And we couldn't go through. You would think you go through one wall and you probably hit the other wall and then fall down, right? 'Cause it's small, right? Nope, can't hurt that other wall. So what we have to do is I have to get hit and go straight down because we cannot damage this wall, this extra wall once I go through the other one. So there's all these precautions taken. We do the movement. My dance partner's great. He hits me, but I think we both underestimated the amount of force that would be needed to go through that wall because they put a bunch of layers of paint on it. It's latex paint, so it's kind of springy. And homeboy hits me, and we were thinking he should hit me, grab my legs, and pick me up off the ground and go down to spear me into the hallway to avoid the wall, which he did. Problem was he hit that wall, and it went like, instead of going like poof through the wall, it was like poof, poof.
Oh, so you have to do it again.
So I'm bracing for it was with that, and also for me, like when you're taking
you were bracing like
for impact, right? Like my chin's tucked, and I hit the wall, and I'm like, oh, and so my neck releases, and then it breaks again, so my head just bounces off the ground. And the other thing is,
so just so you guys know, tuck your chin
always.
Oh,
can I say something? I'm gonna say it right into this camera. If you take nothing away from this podcast, I want you to remember one thing, both metaphorically and
physically,
literally.
Yeah.
Hands up, chin down. In everything in life, hands up, chin down. Don't say Uncle Tyler didn't teach you anything. No, so he fucking homie like spears me through this wall, right? And the other thing is when you're doubling, they can't see your face, right?
Oh, so you gotta like keep it.
Dude, my head bounced off that ground so fucking hard, but like I had to like and like cover my face really quick, and I'm laying there, and I knew we were gonna have to do it again because I knew it wasn't clean.
Oh no!
But that was the only wall we had. So long story short, the second one he hits me again. This time he and I looked at each other, and it was one of those things that stunt guys just do. Something it's just part of the job. Sometimes unspoken rule is sometimes you look at your dance partner and you're like, hey, this is gonna suck. this is going to be terrible. There's no way around it. So let's just fucking, we're in it together, right? Even, and what's cool is it's always like someone you don't know.
Yeah, but it's like
it's
a
new
bonding,
person.
Like your soul.
You're like, you're in it, right?
Yeah.
So this one we looked at each other, I was like, we got to get through that wall. He's like, oh, you're going through that wall. I was like, oh, I'm going through that wall. And we both looked at each other, and the coordinator came over, and he was like, guys, fuck that other wall. Go through it. And this coordinator was a coordinator that I'd wanted to work for forever. He was so great. Anyway, the second take, he hits me. We go through the first wall like butter, and I crashed into the second wall that we weren't supposed to hit, and I made like a Tyler-shaped Looney Tunes hole in it, and like there's like pictures and glass shattering, and we go to the ground.
So cool. Listen,
it'll look
that
sick.
Show makes so much money.
They'll be fine.
They can fix that wall.
It'd be fine. It was worth it. Honestly, the director came up and he was kind of like, do what you got to do. So kudos to him.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
But the coordinator too. I always, when I get hired for stunts, it's like, I'm not going to talk to the director. I'm going to talk to the coordinator. That's the only person I answer to.
Yeah.
You know, any other situation, it's the director. But
yeah.
if the coordinator gives me the go-ahead, then I do what he says, you know?
Yeah. So your stunt coordinator is like your choreographer, if it was like a dance sequence.
It's that. Sometimes they have the budget to hire like a fight choreographer, do the choreography, but the coordinator typically
hires you, right? That's the person who picks.
That's the guy that he's essentially in charge of the entire department. Same way that like a makeup head of department would be over all the makeup artists,
or
right?
Head of wardrobe or anything.
Yeah. Same thing. So, yeah. So anyway, that was my stunt experience. But you actually, both on the werewolf, I think in every single one of these that you've done this month, all 4 of them, I think you've done some form of stunt work. Mm-hmm. And it ain't, listen.
I'm bruised. I have bruises everywhere.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I know. You're banged up, dude.
Yeah.
You're banged up. I have to start coming up with better excuses.
My knees are all nasty just from...
Nasty? Well, you guys actually do, kudos to them. The productions can be whatever, but, the fact they hire the intimacy coordinators and, the stunt coordinator stuff is great, because a lot of productions don't. And you guys are doing a lot. I remember when you did your audition for the werewolf one.
Yeah. We had to do the whole thing with the sword.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You had a full, 4-page monologue, and you're swinging a sword at somebody.
Yeah.
You're not just, I don't know how...
They ended up using a knife. Like a dagger.
Okay.
A dagger was easier to do, which...
I know. It probably looks sick, though.
It does. It does. Well, Jay Kwan was the stunt coordinator for that. I worked with a few times, and he...
Jay's the man.
He gave me I was like, I want to do a fancy hand trick with it, you know? Mm-hmm. And it was, and there's 2 different versions of the dagger, right? So it's not a knife, it's a dagger, it's a good size, right? So there was one that was that's for the close-ups, which is heavier and it looks real, right? And then there's 3 versions, and there's one that's just the handle for when you do the move.
Copy, yeah.
But it doesn't actually stab anybody, and if they need to, there's a little green screen mark on it that they can use.
Oh, nice. So they can track it.
Yeah, so they can track it and make it look like...
Nice.
Yeah, hopefully they actually do that. Who knows? And then there's one that's just so flimsy and impossible. So it doesn't even, you don't feel cool holding it. You understand why.
Tell me if you feel the same way. I want it to have some weight to it.
I want it to have weight. I want it to feel real. If somebody's, a big theme in these is I'm always getting subdued at some point in time because I'm bad and I'm doing bad things. So at some point, somebody's got to stop me. If they do not subdue, I'll be just grab me. Do it. Shake me around. Because I don't like it if I'm supposed to be in this thing.
It's fake. I can't do it either.
And nobody's moving me and I have to pretend to be struggling. I don't like that. So I'm just dude, and I'll tell him right there. I'm no, you go ahead. If I'm on the ground and you need to drag me up, drag me up. I'll tell you if there's a problem. If you're, going too hard, but
Here's my thought too, because I'm the same way. My thought is if it looks like shit, we're gonna have to do it again. Yeah. So in an effort to do it as few times as possible, I'd rather do it difficult once or twice, painful once or twice, than do it 10 times You know.
Yeah.
Tim and I always do this thing, and I don't do this with everybody, but when it comes to like fight choreo, Tim and I have, we had Tim Neff, who was in the last one, pop up all the time. One of my best friends, fantastic actor, stunt performer. But Tim and I have known each other for so long, and we've done so many jobs together. I always say Tim's one of my best friends.
You fought him.
I have fist fought Tim professionally more times than any enemy in my life. You know what I mean? He's the best. But we have this thing where we'll say, like, you know, we'll check in with each other, and he and I are the same. We're like, give me a little love. You know, like, if you're gonna throw a punch at me, don't like fucking sit into it, but tap me.
Yeah.
Because what happens is, like, inevitably on a take or a couple takes, you're gonna anticipate, you know? So I'd rather you touch me, you know? And you can only do that with people you trust.
Yeah.
But I'm like you. I want to feel it. Like, if that's kind of like it's a good part and a bad part sometimes. It's like, it's kind of the cool part of what we do is that you get to live out these like fantasy like experiences that you wouldn't normally come into in your everyday life. And
yeah.
So and your job is to make it as real as possible, right? So for you, the artist, the kind of the gift that you're given, I guess, is that you are given permission to live in this. And if I'm going to live in that for this brief amount of time, like, I want to live in it.
Yeah.
You know? I'm not saying, like, go full method, because I am totally against that. You know, let me do my job between action and cut.
No, but like a little, like, let's make it look authentic. Like, there was...
Be professional. Don't assault me.
Yeah.
You know, like, let's dance.
Yeah.
But...
Well, it just, that comes with experience and being in... There's this scene in one that we just did, and there's like an arrest scene, and it's me and this guy getting arrested, and he's like he's like doing this like moment where he has to profess his love for the other girl, right? So he's like, the whole thing. Now, mind you, this production, I improv'd all of my lines, all of them. Every single one. I was like, what's the point that we're getting across? Okay, cool.
And it's working for you.
Nope. Absolutely. You guys knew who you hired, okay? I'm not, if it's bad, I'm not doing it. If that sounds stupid, no. I've done that enough in my career at this point in time. No. You're not paying me enough to sound like an idiot. So you're going to get what you're going to get. And if your client doesn't like it, well, I'm sorry.
Fuck
you
yeah,
can apologize later.
All right. Fuck yeah, dude.
I'm sorry.
Tell them like it is. I love it.
They'll be like, and I know I only get like one, maybe two takes, like if the camera work wasn't right. So they'll be like, oh, but Mair, you're supposed to say it like this. I'll be like, oh, okay.
Ain't gonna.
And then I just don't. And then they're like, okay.
And not everyone can get away with it, but for this sort of situation, like,
I
with your experience, and you also understand, like, the content. I understand
the context. So I understand the context and the content, but there's no point. Certain things you don't need to say over and over again. And I'm like, listen, you guys didn't take the time to translate this properly. So you're welcome. Okay?
Yeah.
I'm doing that for you on the fly. All right? So this is how this character would say it. And if you don't like that, well, I guess we could go back to your translators. Oh, but you don't have one.
Yeah, that's hard, right? Like,
so this is how it would go, right? But so the frustrating thing with, to go back to kind of the thing about like trying to make things real, is there are all these security guards that needed to be hired, right? And one guy, he gets hired to be a professional security guard. You can tell, like, he comes with a suit, he is ready, he knows, like, I think at one point he was like a Secret Service guy. Like, he must have been, like, he specializes in this.
Yeah.
And he knows, and he's great.
Okay.
He's fantastic, right? And he gets lines because he should.
Yeah. He knows exactly who he is in the marketplace.
He knows exactly who he is, and he's going for it, and he was wonderful. The other ones, not so much. So it's a very confusing script. We've got 3 cameras shooting at once, and so what they'll do sometimes in the middle of the scene, they'll be like, okay, cool, now we're going to switch everything and say it this way. So you're like, wait, what? Where are we? So a lot of people don't know where we are in the script while we're filming. But, you know, for your part, you should know roughly what the beats are. So the actor who's doing he's got to like get down on his knees and like profess his love. So we go over this with everybody and we do the blocking, and it's like, hey, all right, at this point, he has to say this line, and he has to be on his knees because the cameras are going to track him down there, and he's got to grovel, and he's got to crawl over to this girl over here.
Yeah, of course.
So you guys have to, like, let him go. And the actor was really giving it his all. Like, a good actor, too. Like, he was really good. He's, like, really emotional, got, like, super, like, teary-eyed and this whole thing. And so he didn't stop, but they never let go of him. So this poor guy is like, and at a certain point he just like lets his legs go from underneath him and flops onto the floor, like, and you can just see it, and his head bounces back up, and his arms are still being held behind his back.
Wait, so he like headbutted the ground?
Yeah, buddy.
Shut up.
Yeah.
Was he okay?
He was fine. He kept going.
Do you think he was fine, or do you think he was like, I know everybody saw that. I'm gonna play like it's fine. That had to hurt.
That had to hurt.
So they were just like, he trust fell and they just didn't catch him?
No, they wouldn't let go of him. So he was trying, like, and he was trying to give like a little like, hey, got like time to let go.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't because they didn't know what was they're not. Yeah. They weren't like trained.
Plus, if they let go, then they have to get off camera.
Which was just, oh God, that was a whole other thing. There's a whole scene of security guards who didn't know. They think because there's a camera in the room that the camera is on them.
Sure.
But once you're out of frame, man, you're out of frame. Okay?
Plus, you're not shooting 16:9, my guy.
No, you're shooting vertical.
You're shooting vertical.
Okay, so we got
very, very shallow frame.
And
one or two people at a time.
Dude, this poor girl was getting dragged off, like, all the way out of the room in these massive platform heels by these massive dudes, and they're, like, having this whole, and she's like, cut, stop, let me go, please. Like, we're not on camera. Like,
Extras method acting.
Dude, it's the worst thing ever. Like,
Can we do a sketch? Can we do a sketch of like the Daniel Day-Lewis of extras? Like he takes his shit or her shit so seriously.
And look, everyone's been an extra.
Yeah.
Right? But it was you've never been, have you? Mm-hmm. No, you haven't. No.
But
I've done featured extra work.
Yeah.
But yeah. No,
it was never offered to me. If it was like a paycheck, I wouldn't.
It's never like offered. It's just something.
Did you go through casting networks? Or Central?
No.
Oh, was it just like
No. What I did was like I had done music videos where like, and that's kind of how I like first started.
Yeah, it's a great way to get in. Music videos look great.
And it wasn't like you wouldn't like it would be a featured role, but like you're treated like, you know,
an extra.
Yeah.
You're not getting dialogue and stuff typically.
Yeah. So I understand.
I understand.
But I've never done like the movie sitting in like I haven't done that.
Me either. But a lot of people make a living that way. But man, you meet some funny characters like in any other job, I guess. But man, the ones that come out to be on movie sets and make like do the careers as extra. But because I'm conflicted because like. I don't want to come off like I'm talking shit about anybody that takes...
No, everybody...
Because truthfully, there's nothing worse than watching a movie and seeing the extras in the background, like, not engaged. It'll take you out of the entire moment.
Well, here's the thing. Most people who are doing extra work, they're just doing extra work for that day. Right. Because it's, you can make, I don't know, what, like $300 a day?
No, you'll make, maybe bare more. Minimum. But
that's bare minimum. So you can make a lot more than that.
Also, that's one route to get into SAG is to get your vouchers through extra work. No knock against. Don't misunderstand.
A lot of people do it, and you have like real legitimate actors who are like, oh, this is just a job that I'm taking today. The great quote in the industry is, "A day on set is better than a day off of set."
Facts.
Or not on set.
Facts. Big facts. Yeah.
You're getting a paycheck.
You're always able to learn and like watch and honestly, truth be told, the people that do extra work are on the bigger sets more often than the people that are like, well, I'm above doing extra work.
Yeah, no, it's very true.
They actually get to see, like, how the, you know,
Yeah.
how it's made, how it's done, you know.
But
Terry Crews was an extra in Friday.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, and they
He's
bumped
at the
him.
end.
Did they bump him up?
Well, he had a great look, and he ended up getting a line, so I guess he was a featured extra.
Wait, Terry
Crews.
The big...
Yeah.
Isn't he in front? Like, he's a main character.
I think he became a main character, but he started off as an extra.
Oh.
But he just had a great look and a natural charisma.
Listen, everyone, Will Ferrell's been an extra. Mm-hmm. It's fun to watch older movies and see people that what is an older movie, right? But you'll see like famous people.
You're like, oh shit.
And you're like, oh my God. And they're like...
I swear to God, I saw Russell Crowe in a movie the other day.
You probably did. You probably did. And there's no knock against it. But you do get some oddballs.
I just imagine this person who's like, he's like the Daniel Day-Lewis of extras and takes it so seriously and it's so endearing. But imagine what that person would be like inside. They're probably wonderful, but just...
It was
that's a funny
frustrating
concept.
At a certain point because there's a certain there's a selfishness with actors. Not all the time, but there can be, and it's usually with the very green new actor.
Sure. Because
you usually get into this industry being like, I want to share me, you know.
You don't really quite understand the.
Yeah, you don't really understand it yet. And I think everyone's been there and everyone's had that and been like, I'm talented. I want people to see it, you know? And listen, I've been there. So no hate necessarily, but once you've been in the game for a while and you're really working, you're really, doing it, you realize that that's not what it's about. You're a very small cause.
It's a collaborative thing. We've talked about it on other episodes. That's my favorite part of this whole thing is that you have all these masters of their craft, mm-hmm. right? Actors, makeup, catering, directing, producing, writing, stunts. You have all these masters of their craft that are all trained.
Wardrobe, set design.
Yeah, all trained.
Lighting, cameras.
Editing in post, like even the PR that's going to help pitch the movie. Like there's so many. That's why credits are such a long sequence. And the cool thing about filmmaking is that all these different artists have to come together for one collective vision. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And to make a movie, whether truthfully, to get from opening credits to end credits, is a fucking achievement, whether it's a vertical or a web series or a feature film that Scorsese directs or, you and your buddies with a fucking iPhone in your backyard. It's a fucking achievement, man, because it's multiple people coming together for one united vision to tell a story, and that's really fucking cool.
Yeah. Did those Tootsers kick anybody in the face today?
Not today.
Oh.
Yet. What if I just... Dude, can I tell you something?
What?
What if I just fucking Karate Kid kicked that out of your hand right now? And it sticks in the ceiling?
No,
like
that's
a fucking ninja star?
That's not funny because there's footage on here.
I'll give you some fucking footage.
You had said that filmmaking, your favorite part about it was, it's a collaborative thing, right?
For sure, yeah.
All right, so you've got me into this audio podcast.
Oh, dude, what went wrong?
Yeah.
Yes.
So my drives to set in the morning are it's 5:00 in the morning. It's so early.
Yeah.
I'm not ready for the music yet.
Right, but you need some kind of stimuli.
Yeah, I need stimuli, and then I'm in hair, makeup, and I'm okay, I want to listen to something that's going to be inspiring. Great podcast, you guys. This is not a paid sponsor. What went wrong? It's all about films and what goes into making them and basically
and what went wrong.
But at the end, they sum it up. Oh, I spilled it myself.
You have a drinking problem.
Oh, I do.
You're terrible at it.
But I love it so much. But then at the end they sum it up about what went right, which is really beautiful and it's it brings tears to your eyes sometimes, but it's really inspiring. However, there is one director who just sounds like a hellscape. He's dead now.
Who was it?
Kubrick?
Stanley Kubrick?
Is he the director of The Shining?
Yeah, Stanley Kubrick.
Yeah, I would have never wanted to work with that man. First of all, everybody talks about how he's like one of the best directors of all time. I'm sorry. I don't think he had enough competition. I think that
that's a fair... No, I'm with you. That's a fair...
It's a very fair...
Listen.
Very fair.
Listen.
I stand by that.
I'm like 85% with you. 90% with you even. Kubrick is Kubrick. You know, he's one of the godfathers of film, modern cinema. However, I feel like if you have to go to such extremes to where you are traumatizing your actors and your crew to get your job done, I question how good you are at your job. However, The Shining, what is it? Space Odyssey.
He had a lot. He had
potentially the moon landing. You know, they say that Stanley Kubrick. The theory is the conspiracy that he helped with the moon landing.
I have heard the conspiracies because of the number, right? It was like the room number 213 or something like that. There's a number correlation that was like a room in The Shining that didn't exist, and it was also on the moon landing.
Yeah, did you watch that documentary? Didn't you?
I did.
You did. You did. I knew you did. I did too. That's why I knew.
I think 213. I might be completely incorrect.
It's something like that. Right? Yeah.
No,
there was all kinds of like that's a big like conspiracy theories. There's all kinds of subliminal messaging in The Shining. Everything from like the very eccentric patterns on the carpet, and like I think it's in like the main hall or somewhere, or maybe it's like in the hallways when Danny is on his tricycle and he sees the girls. He's like,
see, okay. So
and then the guy in the bear costume is giving someone a blowjob.
Yeah, it's a little weird.
And then that old lady gets out and she's got the saggy tits.
Yeah.
Can I tell you something? Bro to bro. As a 11, 12-year-old kid seeing The Shining for the first time, you're like, oh, I'm going to see some boobies. And then that's what you get? Terrifying. You know how Jaws made you afraid to go back in the water? Mm-hmm. Scarred me for titties. Yeah. I mean, I got over it.
I think...
But...
No, I think The Shining... Back then, so like the thing about Stanley Kubrick that I learned was like he was an absurd control freak.
Yeah.
Right? And even the fact that, and realistically, like, kind of delusional, but, like, believed in his own delusions and his own potential so much, which does tend to work out for people sometimes. Mind you, it works out. You do need that. It works out really well when you're able to convince people with money that you're worth them spending their money on. So that's great, right?
That's the business and show business part.
There's the business and show business. And then there's always the potential for you to completely squander everything and it to be terrible, right?
Yeah.
However, you know, he's able... I think during the Shining era and those types of films, you needed a certain level of control because certain things were not... done, like certain camera movements were not done, certain like the use, like creating certain sets and special effects and stuff weren't done. Well, that's
why they're the godfathers of cinema, right? Because him, Spielberg, Lucas, like Coppola, Scorsese, all these guys that came out of the late 60s, 70s era of filmmaking were kind of inventing new ways. Not inventing, but like mainstreaming.
Yeah, think about when you're like, you got like if you had a video camera when you were a kid, and you're like, all right, I'm creating the scene, and nobody around you knows what to do or how to do anything, but you've got it in your head.
This sounded like a good idea until I had it in my hands, and now I don't know what to do.
And you're like, and then you start bossing everybody around you, like, as a little,
This
like,
what you did?
Oh, fuck, yeah.
So, listen, I didn't have this experience, but please elaborate.
No?
No, keep going.
Oh, well, I just outed myself. But I did that, and I was a terror.
You were a natural director.
I was directing everything, but I would get annoyed because I thought everyone around me was stupid because they couldn't read my brain. And I was like...
Can I tell you something? I don't think that's within the realms of your personality as like Mair today. However, I have worked with other directors who were never able to let that go, and it's very much in the realms of their personality.
Well, I think you gotta let it go at a certain point, and just like I still
Bring back the whole
struggle.
collaborative thing.
Yeah. But that takes the fun out of it, right? Like sucks the joy out of everything.
Does it?
Just a little bit. Right? My brother quit on me so many times, like a little 5-year-old kid like would throw his costume
He's like
down,
calling his
flick
union.
me off. I have there's videotapes somewhere. I have to get them like
I'm gonna need those tapes.
I think they're in the storage unit, but we have to like get them transferred to like digital, but it's so embarrassing for me. However, very funny.
Oh,
Very funny.
I'm
We're
gonna
gonna
need those tapes.
Yeah.
I'm gonna need that.
But but I was like Stanley Kubrick. I was not good, and I was trying to like create everything and make everybody do everything. It was like, this is my vision. It's so important. Don't you understand? And everyone's like, we're miserable. We don't want to do this, Mair. It's like, oh,
Shut up! You'll never work in this town again. What? I'm 5.
this is art. This is my art.
Can I tell you something? So check it out. So I didn't do that, but you know what I did do?
What did you do?
I would have like, I never had like, growing up I never had like a big group of friends, but I would have like 1 or 2 friends that were like chapters of my life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was like your best friend for like a period of time,
until
right?
you grow out of them.
Right.
Or they grow out of you, whatever.
Yeah. So there was this one kid that I was friends with, Patrick, and Patrick and I were both into Dragon Ball Z. Real into Dragon Ball Z. I was the perfect age for it. I was like 1st, 2nd grade. I was still in private school. I didn't have a lot of friends, but Patrick and I like vibed on Dragon Ball Z. It's Texas. Nobody knew about anime in like the fucking 90s in Texas. You know what I mean? So they got all these crazy names and shit. Like, yeah. Nobody was on board with that. So Patrick and I, like, that's where we bonded, right? So I would go to his house and like he would have like some Dragon Ball Z action figures, and I'd have some Dragon Ball Z action figures. And the OG Dragon Ball fans will know that you couldn't get Dragon Ball Z action figures at the typical stores in America for a long time. I mean, you really can't even still. But back in the day, if you wanted, it was such a niche like thing, especially in Texas, that like you would, if you got these action figures, they were the most like, they had no fucking like mobility. It was literally like, it was 3 every single action figure was 3 pieces of plastic. It was the head, torso, and legs, and then 2 arms that just snapped on, and all they could do was go up and down.
Oh, I'm sorry. Have you heard of Barbie?
I have. You'll have to elaborate, but I feel like I have heard of her. Yeah. Margot Robbie?
No. Also, I love Margot Robbie, and I thought she was great in Barbie, but way too short to be Barbie. Barbie is like a 5'8" Amazon.
Yeah.
Creature.
Yeah, she's all legs too. It's like
all
her
legs.
hips go to her shoulders.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, look, they were very forward thinking in that.
Barbies.
Yeah.
Lady G.I. Joes. That's what they were. But Patrick and I would you know, we had our action figures in Dragon Ball Z and things like that, and it was hard to come by. So we would, like, he would have a couple characters, you know, like the real good ones. You know what I'm talking about, like Vegito, like Super Saiyan Vegito.
I have no idea
and
what you're
Broly.
talking. Yeah.
He had like OG Broly, not this new age like Dragon Ball Super Broly, like Super Saiyan God era, but I'm talking like OG. They had Limp Bizkit in the fucking soundtrack. Fucking Broly. He's yoked, right? His delts were as big as his head. It's crazy. It made no sense. It was awesome. So he had a couple, then I had a couple, and we'd create these stories. And I would always get so frustrated. I feel like I was good about containing it, but that may not be true.
I don't think it. Yeah.
Really? You don't think so? Probably not.
No. If you've gotten better at containing the way you feel. Huh? I wear it on my face, when you get into like, you're like, this is how I feel about something.
Yeah.
I'm feeling a certain kind of way.
What do I do?
You let us know. You let the people know. You let them know.
What do I do?
Am
I a Looney Tune?
No, you keep it contained most of the time, but you're like so composed that I think, and then at a certain point, the passion just erupts. Not in a bad way. Like, not in like a crazy person way, you know? I think I do that too. But where you're just like, huh, and then you get it out and you say your piece. And you're like,
it happened when we were hanging out with Michael yesterday. He started talking to me about like story ideas and airplanes and things like that. And I was like, I can't continue this conversation unless I jump up onto my feet and I start pacing around the room.
No, and you're like, yes, and.
Okay. First of all, I think we're all thinking it, and by all, I mean me and the audience here. I feel like we're all thinking that impression, though accurate, was hurtful.
No, it was great. It was good. No,
it was spot on.
Also, it was we had a good time hanging out. We're a bunch of creatives.
I get excited. You know what it is? The word you're looking for is passion. Passion. Passion of the Tie. That's going to be the name of my biography. Passion of the Tie.
I'm pretty sure.
I don't think that name's been taken.
No. I'm sure.
The Tie Guy. Passion of the Tie Guy.
Passion of the Tie. No, I like it. I'm imagining so many culturally incorrect ways of marketing this story.
So you have ideas.
I have
good.
Ideas.
We'll have a meeting after this. This is good. Bring it all to the table. I'm a big fan of the whole like throw everything against the wall and see what sticks kind of approach.
I've learned this about you. I like this. So okay, I talked about my week. I hijacked kind of the whole episode a little bit, or did we? I think we had like a good back and forth.
Yeah, I did some stuff.
What? Okay, I missed you.
I missed you.
You.
You were supposed to. While you were working your ass off on all these verticals and bouncing between characters, I bounced home for a little bit. I went back to Texas for a few.
I know.
You're supposed to go with me.
I know.
We so my mama and my papa have been. I'm from like. So there's a couple different versions of Texas. I would say there's 4. And it's literally north, south, east, west Texas, right? West Texas is like El Paso going into New Mexico, right? That's one vibe. That's your chili peppers. That's your, like, if you saw Breaking Bad, that's kind of that vibe.
I don't like that.
Okay.
I don't like that lifestyle.
It's really hot.
I don't like it. Nothing against like Texans. I think I like you guys as a peoples. But I don't like the desert very much.
That's fair. Fair.
I like green.
That's fair.
I like green.
El Paso, you're not gonna find like green. It's a lot of. I mean, there's some, but it is leading more into that New Mexico area.
Like I like Arizona, like Scottsdale, but I don't. But it's because they like import certain greenery. Just like same reason. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. I just don't. I'm from the East Coast. I'm from the woods. I like greenery. Yeah.
So I was from, as opposed to that, I'm from like southeast Texas, which is like
very similar to where I grew up.
Very similar. It's because it's very humid because you got the Gulf of America.
The Gulf of America?
I guess. I went 34 years calling it one thing. But...
Wait, no. It's not officially. Is that like...
Look it up on Google.
Wait, what?
Yeah. That is the Gulf of America.
You can't just do that.
You would think. But...
Wait, stop. Wait, no. Wait, no. Wait, stop it. What? Is this a real thing? I thought it was a joke. I thought it was something that he said that was like, ha, that's funny.
JK, right?
What?
Canada's the 51st state. No,
But, okay, but on a real level, if you've been to Canada, have you ever really been outside of the country?
I've never been to Canada, but I've always wanted to go. Canada is like, I know they're just up north, but Canada is in like definitely my top 10 countries I want to visit.
I went to Montreal one time.
Was it great?
I loved it. It was a ski town.
Yeah.
Where I went, and I thought it was absolutely beautiful.
I've always wanted to go to Canada.
It's not the same as the U.S. It seems like it. Okay, so their television is different. Like,
I would imagine.
But like you go to other countries and like TV is very different than the U.S.
Of course.
I wasn't expecting that of Canada.
You would think because they're so close.
Yeah, it's very
a totally different broadcast network. It makes sense. Totally different. It's different culture. They're looking at different things, and truthfully, our media is all over the place, so it's hard to know really what we're watching versus a country that might be a little bit more, dare I say, united.
I don't know that I would say that they're united. I don't know. I don't know enough about them, but I don't think they are. I think what I was referring to is not their news channels. It was more about their entertainment programs.
Okay.
U.S. I hadn't realized this until I got into film, and I realized that this is a thing that we do, and this is why our movies and our television look the way that they do, and they look like cartoons, essentially, even though it's real. Live action, you know what I mean?
Sure.
We do color schemes. So everybody who walks in, every background actor, every extra that, who is hired on anything, they are told these are the colors that you can wear. And that is all coordinated with the backgrounds and the set design and the main actors so that everything looks cohesive, which makes everything kind of look like more professional to a certain degree. Yeah. I guess or it can look super weird to somebody coming and watching something and be like, oh, that's obviously not real. Because in Europe and, Australia and Canada, maybe they do it now, but they did not do that. That was not like a thing for a very, very long time. And probably for the most part still isn't. That's why the BBC looks different. Everything looks different because everything looks more real. And America is the big, shiny toy. Come play with us, guys. We're great.
Anyway, so while you were working on all your verticals and bouncing between 4 different characters all at once, I went home. Well, my month has been split up. So like I had all this work lined up through January, but then obviously the fires and stuff, and full disclosure.
Not full. Don't give full disclosure.
Mostly 3/4 full disclosure. Things were really sketch for a second, and I was like, man, there's no work and things like that. And then I thankfully got hired on this writing job, so I'm working on a movie. I was able to start.
Which, by the way, I don't think people understand how hard it is to get hired as a writer in Hollywood. Like that's a very big accomplishment that I don't think that you can just. You can get hired as an actor, you can get, and you can do that with resumes or without resumes, but to get hired, and legitimately so, like getting actually really paid as a writer to do a feature film, an action feature film at that.
Action comedy feature film. It's really cool.
That's very cool. That's a huge accomplishment.
You know what it is, too, is like, not to get... I swear to you, it's going to become a thing where it's like, oh, here Tyler goes on his little soapbox, but...
We need a soapbox sometime.
You know what, man? Here it comes. Give me a stage. I don't care if it's the size of a soapbox.
Want to grab your toe while you say it?
I couldn't stop if I wanted to. No, here's the thing, man. Like, we've both been doing this for a very long time. And it's only been within, like, the last couple years that we've been able to be like, okay, I'm making a living. Sometimes it's, really tight. Sometimes it's a little bit more chill. You know, some Christmases are better than others. But we finally, only recently, after all the years we've invested, have gotten to the point where we've been able to make a living off of our art. And even with that being said, again, sometimes there's things that are out of your control that happen, such as a fire spreading across your entire city. And
you realize you have no protection.
You have no protection.
We're not a protected group of like people. Like art seems unimportant. Like
yeah. I mean, I think like at least what I've noticed is people don't realize how much they need art until shit hits the fan, and whether it's a world disaster like say a pandemic, or
which is why TikTok
a depression
really became popular and stuff, because people needed an outlet, and you got to see talent from people that
you need it,
didn't
man.
even know.
You need it.
You know?
The human animal needs a creative out. But what I was getting at was no, you're good. You're good. You're totally good. What I was getting at was like, there's all these highs and lows, and even when I got to a point where I was like, okay, I'm doing like I think I'm at a point where I can be a professional filmmaker and step away from waiting tables, what I've done for 17 years. And then you hit a dry spell and you're like, oh shit, I made a big mistake. You know, what did I do? I wasn't ready. I overthought this, that, or the other. And then sometimes if you just, I don't know if this is good advice or not, but sometimes if you just,
when your back's against the wall, where do you go?
Where do you go?
Forward.
Law of attraction, right? Ever forward. And, you know, truth be told, like after January, when things were really tight, I was like, what am I going to do? And then this opportunity presented itself. I was able to jump on and get to start writing this movie. And it's a wonderful reminder.
Do you know, but the reason why you were able to jump on and do this movie was because I don't think that, and I think it's very important for viewers and listeners to understand. I don't want to get emotional, but I might. No one comes in and saves you. No one comes in and says, you're exactly what we've been looking for. We needed you. And where have you been? That's a lie. That's a Disney story that doesn't exist. That's not real. But you can put yourself out there and you can save yourself. And what you did was you worked really hard for years and years and years, and you wrote scripts and you wrote shorts and you produced them and you filmed them and you worked with people and you hired people with the money that you made waiting tables or doing stunt work and putting your body at risk, and you hired people and you created these situations to the point where people took your work seriously, and you never know where those people are going to go in their careers or in their paths. So there was a weird turn of events where someone was working with somebody that you knew who loved you and cared about you and knew how talented that you were. And this person was like, I'm looking for a very specific writer for a very specific thing. And this person said, I know somebody who's perfect for that. And they recommended you, and you had a meeting and you sent samples upon samples. And then you, on top of that, then you for free had to write scenes for their movie based on this outline that they had for them, and you sent it to them. And then their DP or AD?
AD, yeah.
Their AD read your papers and said, hey, I actually know this guy. I've worked with him before. Because that's why you keep working in this industry. That's why you don't give up, because everyone is on their own journey and everyone is on their own path. And it's not saying that you're like using people in any way, shape, or form, but you build these relationships and you make these connections. And it's not a, hey, how can you help me? How can we help each other? How can we do for each other? So this one person said, hey, I know him. And I know that I'm working on this film and I've worked with him before, but if I'm attached to this project that we're doing, I want him to be attached to it too, because he's fucking great. He's fantastic. And that's how you got the job, was because yes, you are fantastic and you are the right person for the job. But you worked really fucking hard, and people know that, and they care about you and they want to work with you. And you were recommended to this one person by several different people who are like, no, that is the right person. That's the right guy. So you should be really, really, really proud of that. And I'm really proud of you.
How dare you? There's cameras on. There's cameras on. I spent the first part of this show telling them how tough I was. What are you doing to me?
No, but that's what this is about. It's a web. You spin your web.
You can't. If I've learned anything, you're so fucking. Thank you. If I've learned anything, and it's been a hard lesson, it's that you can't do this on your own. Nor should you. This is not meant to be done on your own. I think being an artist is a very individual journey, but if you choose to take your artistry into a profession that incorporates other artists, you need to understand that now you're in a collaborative effort, and that's a beautiful thing in its own right. But if that's what you want to do, commit to that. And I did a lot of this, and I know you did too. I know you did. We did a lot of this on our own. You by yourself, a lot of lonely nights.
But I get my jobs from not so much from auditions, but I audition a lot. My jobs come from people who...
Word of mouth.
Word of mouth.
Yeah. At a certain point, you have to think, like, filmmaking, if you just speak logistically, you're going to be on set anywhere from 6 to 12, sometimes even more hours a day, and it's going to be days on end, and so you want to make sure that the person you're around is someone that's tolerable for all that time. But all that to say, like,
you want to build a family.
When I first came out here, I was 20 years old with a chip on my shoulder that felt like I had something to prove. From a small town, I didn't come from a lot of money. I came from a small town in Texas, and I didn't have a lot of guidance. I didn't have a lot of I didn't have a lot of backup. And I know I'm speaking for myself, but I think it's applicable to most people on this particular journey.
Most people who come out here.
And I did the things I was told. I did. I was a good boy. They said, get your hair cut like this, wear these clothes. Who are you in the marketplace? You know, and that is
so stupid.
Listen, it's 50-50 because it is good advice. It's a good sentiment. I understand what's being said. But when you're 20 years old and you hear that, you don't know how to... At 34, 35 years old, I can hear that and be like, I know what you mean. I got you. At 20, you don't understand that.
When you don't even know who you are.
Correct. And being an artist is very much you. So that's very difficult. And it could even be coming from a good place, but it's very difficult. And I spent all of my 20s doing the Hollywood hustle, just like I know you did. And into my 30s. And I lost myself. I did. I found success. I paid my bills. You know, sometimes. Sometimes. But I lost myself. And I didn't know how to find him. And it was only when I realized that the thing that brought me here in the first place was this undeniable, unquenchable urge to have my voice be heard, my own individual voice, and to know that voice, that person, that thing inside me had a seat at the table. and that it was deserving. And it took a long time to get the place. And truthfully, you need to earn it. You need to earn it. You don't get to just come out here. Everyone's the hometown hero, right? But earn it also. Like, you deserve it, but earn it. You know what I mean? You deserve the opportunity, but also earn it, right?
Hollywood is a test. You come out here. That's why, truthfully, it's so sad. That's people don't really understand that the state that Los Angeles is in at the moment, especially with the wildfires, but with the strikes that we have had, and with all of the productions moving overseas or out of state, because we have horrible incentives here.
It's a new world.
It's too expensive to film here. It's absolutely insane.
Yeah.
But the reason people came here was it was the same as like why you would go to New York. It was, this is where you cut your teeth. This is where you earn your stripes. Everybody is the most talented person, the most special person from where they are from. And that's where they come, and you have a whole mixing pot of it. And it's not to say it's like, eat or be eaten, but kind of. You either can figure it out and you can make it work out here, or you can't. You're either built for this or you're not.
Yeah.
And that's the beautiful thing about this city, because if you can last out here and you can survive and you can, and your spirit doesn't break, which is so sad for those that it does, which it breaks a lot of people. But if you're strong enough, then you can handle this shit.
Yeah.
You can do it. You can do it, and nothing will break you.
And can I tell you something, too, to yes and that? I think if you're strong enough, you're also able to go through the nonsense out here. Some of the nonsense. Not everything.
Not everything's necessary.
Not everything's what I was going to say was not everything's also bad either. Like, there's a lot of great stuff out here, and there's a lot of wonderful opportunity that being out here provides and things like that. But if you can work your way through the nonsense and get a vibe for what the industry is, and then with that kind of vibe that you've gathered, have some perspective and be able to zoom out a little bit and kind of be like, okay, I came out here with the dream, and my dream is still valid. It's still my dream. But now I'm savvy. Now I'm streetwise to what the game is. So you can put those two things together, and then you can find success, right? Now, what you won't be able to do is if you come out here with a dream and you look at like kind of what the landscape is, and you're like, okay, how do I game the system? What do I have to do to get what I want out of people, or become this beggar? There's something about this city that turns you into beggars as an artist. Please me, right?
But that is the most see-through thing.
Of course.
You can see
but
it when
you can't stop it when you're in it. When I was in my 20s, I hate to say it, but like, I was a lot of that green, and I had been doing this since I was 17 years old. I had been the lead in feature films, but now I'm going into an audition for a non-union music video for some band that is new on the scene, and like, that's a great opportunity. But I'm so green, and I'm like, and it's fine to be excited, but like, you get into this beggar state of mind, and that's not what an artist is. An artist is not a beggar. An artist is someone who's brave enough to present a new idea. And I feel like if we can do anything with this platform, or if we can reach out to anybody and we can just say anything to them, what I'd love to say is like, be aware of what the business side of whatever venture it is that you're jumping into, whether it's what we do, or whether you want to get into custodial work, or you want to get into lumber sales, or you want to be a teacher, or whatever. It doesn't matter. It doesn't fucking matter. But go into it knowing two things. One, you need to be expressive in everything you do. There's no point in just clocking in from 9 to 5. The world has enough 9 to 5ers. We've got enough. We've hit our quota. What we need is people. We need people. We need individuals. We need people who believe in who they are. We need people that are willing to ask questions and all that sort of thing. And you can still have this 9 to 5 job, but still be your own unique person and find value in that. And like, if you can find that, but also be business savvy and like be able to look at whatever profession it is and zoom out and have kind of an idea of what that world needs and how you incorporate. Like, if you can be clever enough and driven enough to look at it from that perspective, then I feel like, I don't know, man. I feel like you can find success in whatever the thing it is that you want to do, as long as you're willing to work hard and be semi-intelligent about your approach to it. But
I think what we have, which is, it's not a new thing. It's not a new thing at all. The trendsetters in high school are never the cool kids.
Right.
If you're doing something different or thinking out of the box, it's not cool. People probably don't like you.
Yeah.
Because you're not safe. And in high school and even college, I think people are trying to feel safe because they don't know who they are.
The misfits. Yeah.
And there's nothing, I'm not saying that there's necessarily anything wrong with the cool kids, but they're trying to find a safe place and they go with what's safe, what's normal, what's already cool, we know is cool. But who creates cool, man? They don't.
We talked about it last episode, but the best people, all the people that any of us look up to, whether they're a celebrity, whether they're a historical figure, whether a politician, whether whoever, it doesn't matter. Whoever you look up to was never the status quo following,
never
normal paint by numbers person. No one normal ever changed history. And
we need more people to change history, because where we're at right now, guys, fuck.
I feel like what the world needs more than anything right now is an injection of empathy. And I think...
You. God, I love you.
I love you. But I think we need... I think we need to mainline some fucking empathy.
Yeah.
And
I think we're too used to not having conversations here and having conversations through screens and being able to delete a message and pretend that those words didn't happen. That's...
You know what I think about sometimes, and we'll have to wrap this up soon. But
yeah, I'm sorry.
No, don't apologize. I can talk to you all day. We'll close this and keep talking. I know we will. But you know what I think about is, like, it's important to remember, like, when I was a little kid, I went through a pretty good portion of my childhood as being like the chubby kid. I was a chubby kid, had gap in my teeth.
I would have loved you.
Well, where the fuck were you?
Virginia.
Okay. Well, the one place I didn't look. But I was like this. I was like kind of the chubby kid, and I was, I was kind of the nerd, and I was in anime and things like that, and movie making. I was eccentric. I was in Texas, so I was kind of like, I won't say flamboyant, but I was like fucking eccentric and okay. Well, remember that time we started the episode where I talked about getting tackled through a wall? Let's focus on that. But I was, I felt very isolated, and
everyone feels isolated in their own way, and I think that it's important for people to know that, and kind of, I think that's a beautiful thing about art and storytelling, and specifically what we do as for a living is kind of understanding the person that you wouldn't really understand and getting inside their brain and twisting it and being
that's
like,
the empathy thing, right? Like, I understand you, even if I haven't lived your experiences.
Yeah, and like maybe I wouldn't normally get you. But let me step outside of myself for a second and understand maybe why you think this certain way, or maybe why you behave this certain way. Because I think there's such a hard line right now of like what's right and what's wrong and who's this and who's that. And it just creates such a divide. And you're right. You need an IV of empathy. We need to get to know each other more. Like
human to human.
Human to human. Not political party versus, oh, well, you're this, then no, I have so many friends whose certain views I disagree with entirely, but I know them as humans. And there's a reason why when you go into a voting booth, there's a cover so that you can't, because that's private. And what one person thinks, they have a reason for thinking that. And maybe you disagree with that reason, but that doesn't mean that person is a bad person.
I feel like the best way to sum up what you're saying is, because I completely agree with you, I think the best way to sum it up is we don't have to agree on everything.
No.
However, we do have to respect everyone's individual right to disagree.
You have to yes, you have to do that. And you also have to just respect that person as a human and know, I may not fully understand why you feel that way, but I respect you as a human to know that you have a reason for feeling that way.
Yeah, I think so. And
sometimes we don't feel that way.
And also sometimes there's a hard line in the sand there's a hard moral line in the sand where it's like obvious right wrong, but generally speaking, and I think to tie it back into what we do in all of this, it's we were all meant to shine as the individual person that we are, that we were born into this fucking universe as, right? And we're the only person, the only version of us that has ever existed in the history of ever like that, right? And I feel like you should encourage people to maybe not look, maybe there's some wild ones out there that you shouldn't encourage to follow through with their wild dreams. If it's like, my wildest dream is to slaughter a town of people. I'm like, oh, maybe that's not the dream I support. But generally speaking, again, like, I feel like most importantly, if you can like encourage an artist when you see them, and if there's no one to encourage you, look in the mirror and be like, and just know that you have a voice. You are totally valid in whatever that voice is. And if you're willing to work hard, and also, like I said earlier, like we were talking about earlier, like zoom out a little bit, understand the platform that you're trying to go towards, and gear your voice towards that so that it can be heard and understood in the way that's supposed to be heard. Like, you deserve that platform, and trust that, and work really fucking hard, and don't stop.
Don't limit yourself.
Don't limit yourself, man.
Ever forward. Why you always get me teary at the end of every...
I feel like I didn't do that. I feel like this time you brought that upon yourself. I was totally fine with being whimsical and being a goober this episode, but you were like, I'm going to get real...
Every episode you get me all tearied.
Well, I'm very deep.
You guys, please like, share, and subscribe to this video. Listen, we're trying really hard to make this a little bit more consistent. I think so far we've been okay about it.
If I had to give us a Rotten Tomatoes score, I'd give
We'd be 70.
That is bold. I was going to say 55, which in Rotten Tomatoes speak is like 100.
No, I would say 70. We're a 70 Rotten Tomato. Rotten Tomatoes rigged anyways nowadays. It's ridiculous. But yeah, no.
We're the fucking pickled zucchini.
Listen, you guys.
We've got a 65% on pickled zucchini.
We've
got a 70% on moldy bread. We've got a 85% on fucking toxic taters.
Okay.
Remember that time you almost died from potatoes after I went on that fucking movie scapade for a month?
Yeah.
You came home and you thought I poisoned you with old potatoes?
Yeah.
Anyway.
We'll talk about that next episode. You guys, please like, share, subscribe. It really means, and leave a comment. It really means a lot to the algorithm, which means a lot to us. Yeah. Also,
Help out Al. We love Al. And don't forget to hit that little notification bell at the bottom, because apparently that's really important as well.
And we will be more consistent. Here's the thing. The more views we get, the more likely we are to hire an editor and a producer. Because right now we're doing everything ourselves and trying to...
And Eddie the editor.
And there's Eddie, Eddie the editor. Yes. Wink, wink. So yeah, if we can get some more people working for us, that'll be great. So like, share, subscribe, and if you have any suggestions as to further episodes or things you would like us to discuss in this realm, please let us know. We're happy to talk about them. Love you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode. We'll see you hopefully next week? ? It could be the week after. Potentially. But no more than that. No more than 2 weeks. No more than 2 weeks. Fucking hell, man. Peace out. Can we yeah?
Look, hey, you talk to your hang on. First of all, can I tell you something? You talk to your camera. What I'm doing with my camera and my audience, my Tacketeers, I don't feel like you need to be involved.
I feel like
the Tacketeers and I are having some Oh,
the Tacketeers versus the Mair Bears.
Oh! Speaking of Mair Bears, you know what that makes me think of? Gummy bears. You know what gummy bears make me think of? How hungry I am.
I'm kind of hungry too.
Do you have any cameras nearby? Because that's my favorite thing to eat.